All right, welcome to our Survivor Indianapolis Season 5 postseason coverage. Doing interviews today with the Macks, Neil, and Sonia. And let's just jump right into some questions I have for you guys. So, interestingly enough, I had some very similar questions for both of you about your early game strategies, about whether or not they were sincere, which is kind of funny because like that could happen to any two players, and it happened to happen to a married couple. So, first, let's do Neil. Your early game strategy was kind of like, I'm sold out for the team. I'll do anything for the team, even give my own life in the game for the team. How much of that was sincere and how much of it was a strategy, or was a little bit of both?
It was 100% sincere.
That's what I thought, but I'd ask.
And maybe it was a mistake on my part. Like I wasn't playing the game like a true master. But I thought, first off, it was sincere. And I thought, this should also endear me to the team.
I think it did.
It did temporarily until
it comes down to one.
So we'll come back to that when it comes back to potentially hurt you a little bit. But in early game, it worked for you, I think. I mean, people were kind of confused by it, but ultimately they were like, well, he's loyal, so why should we get rid of him? For you, Sonia, it feels like, and this could be me reading into it too much, and maybe it was just more simple as like you were just being honest, but it felt like you were going around in every conversation, you were kind of like, I'm not sure what to do, so what do you think we should do? Was that just like you sincerely being like, I don't know how to play, I don't know what I'm doing, or were you trying to kind of like play a little bit dumb?
No, 100% sincere. Did not know what I was doing.
Which is fine.
Had no idea. It's like starts as team, and eventually, I mean, there's just so much strategy and psychology that is at work, and I had no idea. And Mason just kind of took me under his wing and guided me, and I just locked arms with him and was like, yes, okay.
I think good. My perception was that was accurate. My perception, though, was that your that earnestness and that just like that, whether it was a play or not, he saw that as an opportunity. Like, she's being pretty straightforward. I can easily just kind of like take her with me and she'll be my +1. And how it worked out for you is that because of that, he never wanted to vote you off. And because of that, he was always the bigger threat than you were. So
yeah, sure.
He was never targeting you because he knew you were loyal to him. But then when the time came to vote off somebody, it was going to be him before it was going to be you, because he was the bigger threat.
Yeah.
So, interestingly enough, you guys get in the swap tribe together. So that was when we drew rocks, and the rocks decided it was going to be Eli and Cameron, and then the two of you, and then Chris. What were your initial thoughts on that group? Neil, you answer that first for me, but then Sonia, I want you as well. What were your initial thoughts when you saw this is our new team now?
So I guess it was probably maybe a little bit of my naivete, because I was so devoted to the first team. I guess I probably didn't have the foresight to think that I could be teammates with other people later, and not just later in the day, but in 10 minutes. and I still was devoted to my team, and I just thought, these are my ride or die people. And so when we had an infusion of others come onto the team, I developed some new loyalties, but my traditional loyalty didn't go away.
Yeah, and did you realize in the moment when you were vocalizing that, like, yeah, I'm open to working with you guys, but my real loyalty lies to other people that are on the other team right now? Did you realize in the moment how that was being received? Because it wasn't being received well by Cameron specifically. Did you realize that, or was it like, it is what it is?
No, I probably didn't. I probably just sort of said it impetuously, and then thought the same character that endeared me to my original team will endear me to this next team.
Yeah.
And they were like 3 steps ahead of me and much smarter.
So Sonia, what about you? Your thoughts when you see that you're paired with this new team, your husband among the team?
Yeah, that was wild. Again, never watched the show.
Yeah.
So do they even do that? Have they done that on the show?
Oh yeah. Okay. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Since like season 3. And they're on 47. So
wow. So yeah, no idea that was a possibility. Just like feelings that you have to work through. And then with him being so solid, the other team, that was a whole nother wave of emotions and feelings.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into that. So pretty soon after, you guys win the first challenge, so you're good there. You have a round to kind of try to form some connections with a new group, but then the next round you guys lose, and it ends up being you two against one another because Chris won immunity, and Cameron and Eli pretty openly vocalized we were going to vote Chris off if he had not won, but because Chris won the individual necklace, could not receive any votes. That leaves the other four of you, Cameron, Eli, and the two of you. Was there ever, because it seems like in the video, which again cannot show everything, but it seems like in the video it's immediately you two, one versus the other, where there could have been an opportunity for you two to say like, hey, let's work with Eli, because you and Eli have worked together. Let's pull in Chris and vote off Cameron or vote off somebody else, but maybe vote off Eli, because Chris voted for Eli, but he has told me that since then that he was kind of just voting for whoever and trying to play like intentionally playing like I don't know what I'm doing and just voting for random people. But was there ever a moment that the two of you were like, maybe we should try to work together? Because it seems like there was none of that.
No, I just wanted him off because I saw him colluding with the other team and like sticking with red.
Mhm.
And then I heard him talk about voting me off, and I was like, okay, it's on. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, my sense of loyalty probably burned me really bad. I became so ingrained in my original team
Yeah.
that it turned out to not be a good move. And I think in the future, if there's an opportunity to participate again, I don't think that being loyal is a bad thing, but I think when you voice it as I voiced it, it not only annoys people, but it turns them against you like in an aggressive manner.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. Part of it was that you're voicing it with people that aren't a part of that original group. So then it's almost like you're just telling them, eventually I'm going to vote you off.
Yeah.
Which then that's how they're receiving it, even though you're not meaning it that way. So did you realize that Eli had an advantage that could have saved you and voted Sonia out?
Probably not.
He had just gotten it. The challenge that you guys won right before you got voted off, he found an advantage. It was a steal a vote. You could have stolen Chris's vote or Cameron's vote or Sonia's vote, and then you and the two of you would have now had 3 votes because he had stolen a vote and could have voted off Sonia, whoever else. And Cameron basically convinced him not to play it, and then he voted you out, which Eli did not want to do very, very badly. So if that had happened, the whole game could have been turned on its head. That round when you got voted off ended up being like probably the most important round of the game because of how far Sonya goes with Chris and other people. And then if that changes and you're in there instead, because by the end of the game, it's almost all original blue, original Shibwe, and it may have flipped if you're in there. So that was pretty interesting.
I think if Eli had pressed the issue and played the advantage, he would have paid for it later. So I don't blame him at all. It was a smart move on his part.
Yeah, probably. So then we get to the returning player challenge where Neil, you have a chance to get back into the game. What were your thoughts on that challenge? As it seemed like I don't really remember. I know that Chris really quickly figured it out, but there was a chance for 2 guys to get past that first stage. So do you remember like how close you were or how you felt going into that challenge?
I don't recall how close I had kind of sort of resigned to the fact that I wasn't going to come back in. And if by some fluke I did, then I was going to exercise my original loyalty.
Yeah.
And probably they picked up on that vibe as well.
Sure. So then we get to the merge, and Sonia, it seems on the video that your strategy is pretty much just like, let's get out the original red people, the original Siakam people, and stick to Shibwe because you gained Chris back into the game, so you have the options for to just vote off the original Siakam players. Was your strategy as simple as that, or was there more to it? Because it also seemed like you talked about potentially working with the women as well.
Yeah, talked about that. I mean, I think I was very loyal to, Mason and Cameron. Well, Mason was gone by this time, right?
Yes, but Cameron was still there. And then Chris came
Eli.
back in.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, the switch over to the ladies, that almost happened. I don't know. I was starting to feel Chris Henderson's switch turn, and loyalties were changing there, and
Yeah.
so I was looking to hook up with somebody else, maybe.
Yeah. So how aware were you? So it sounds like you're hinting at it there. How aware were you that there was a second, like it was like an onion of an alliance? There was the big alliance of original Shebway, but then inside of that was this IBC alliance with
Yeah.
Chris, Leah, Moretta, and Adrian. Were you aware that there was something happening, or was
Oh
it
yeah.
totally undercover?
No, I was aware something was happening. I don't know how and when I felt the switch. I don't think I realized it was the IBC thing. I'm trying to think of. I mean, I did at some point, but not at first.
Yeah. You just
I
knew that
just,
you just knew there was something that you weren't a part of.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think I saw, because I was watching this whole time, because I started
Yeah.
watching like 90 minutes after the game started.
Yeah.
From the sideline.
Yeah. But when she beat someone in the sumo match
Yeah.
soundly,
Yeah.
and I think she was viewed at that moment as a threat. Like her threat was higher than her alliance value.
Yeah. Yeah. There is, I'm actually like in the middle of editing the episode where you get voted off. We're only a couple of weeks from that coming out, and Leah multiple times vocalizes that, like, she's been really good and, like working with her, but she's winning all these challenges. We have to vote her off. Which is funny because then they vote you off, and then Moretta wins a couple of challenges because you're not there anymore. And so that ends up helping Moretta get to the end. But speaking of Moretta, let's go ahead and jump into the end there. You guys both voted for Moretta. So, Sonia, I want you to start off because it makes a little bit more sense for me why you voted for Moretta. Whereas with Neil, the original red loyalty was changed there when you voted for Moretta. So, Sonia, what did you see that made you vote for Moretta?
I don't know. I guess I never felt from her that she was anti me, to be honest.
Yeah.
So she wasn't a threat to me.
Yeah, makes sense. So then, Neil, you had an opportunity to vote for one of two different people who were original Siakam, and you chose to vote for the one that was not. So explain kind of your thought process behind voting for Moretta.
So I never felt similar. I never felt any aggression personally, or even in my observances throughout the rest of the day from Moretta. And then I think the thing that sold me on Moretta was she asked a couple of accountability questions of the other two.
Okay.
And they had expressed their loyalty. And I don't remember the exact verbiage, but she asked point blank questions like, tell me when you did X. And it was crickets for both. And I thought, okay, like that's a challenge that came back unanswered twice.
Yeah.
And I also think that at that point, it had been several hours that I was sitting on the bench per se, and my original team that I had been so loyal to had proven over and over again very unloyal.
Yeah.
So by that point, I was at least open-minded. And again, I was really impressed with how Moretta challenged the other two. And really those challenges came back unanswered. And so that's what tipped the scale for me.
Yeah, that final tribal council performance has been proven in other years as well to be very important. How you answer those questions from the jury and how you speak to your game is very important, and it's very difficult. These players have been out there 10 hours, around there at least. You're tired and you've been outside all day, and all that stuff plays into account. So it is impressive when you can, answer questions well and speak to how you played your game and why you feel like you should win. So that's definitely a big part of it. Last question I have, a little more fun. We'll kind of get out of the nitty gritty of your games specifically. Was there a challenge that you guys played in, or that you maybe even just watched, that you thought was really fun, that you would say maybe was one of your favorites or your favorite challenge from the day?
I think the one where we stood in the front yard and we were guiding the blindfolded teammates to the different obstacles.
Yeah.
That was fun because I participated in it, and it was just a fun skills test. but I feel like it helped to bond the team because you're really trusting the two that are going blindfolded. They're really trusting in the rest of their teammates to give them guidance, and so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's a reason why we have something like that usually one of the very first challenges.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it made a lot of sense.
Yeah, Sonia, what about you?
So I don't know the name of it, but the one
Sure.
where we were slingshotting.
Oh yeah. We had the big slingshots and you're shooting the wiffle balls out. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I enjoyed that. I think just the slingshotting it was really
It's
fun.
fun. That was. Sorry, go ahead.
But man, just trying to get the right rhythm and the right location, and with all of the offense and defense activity going on over there, it was. I know it was disappointing, to the receiver, but it was fun trying to figure out a strategy. And I wish we could have just kept playing that all day.
That was the one when we were testing all the challenges. We had Abby and Keith and Alex and Annie and my wife and I out there a few months before, and we were testing all the challenges, and that was the one that we did. We tested it. We figured out what was the best ball to use, and then we just played for like 10 more minutes. It was just so much fun. So yeah. Okay, well, I think that we're all good here. Again, we loved having you play. I'm enjoying watching the edit. The episode where you two go head to head is a lot of fun. It was like exactly what I hoped for. So a lot of fun. And thanks for coming on again to talk about your games and give us some more information here.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Bye.